Okay, welcome back everyone. Any questions so far?
So what's the difference between wireframes and the mockups and the prototype?
Okay, so mock-up, you can let's start with wireframe. Wireframe is actually lowest form of the design. You can do it by using by using a pencil and paper. So the idea is to design all the elements that you should put in your screen. Let's say, for an example, you are going to design a dashboard. So you have to design a wireframe by creating a search bar or certain elements. You are not going into in details, but you just draw the structure, sketch the structure, like these are the things that it should have. And the prototype is something that we create to let's say uh, g- we send it to our clients to get feedback. So the purpose of the prototype is this. So when we have a concept called minimum viable product. So in that case, what we do is we are not going to develop the final product that we think with all the features and everything. So what we do is we create the basic product with the minimum features that we think that people will like. So in that case, the prototype is something that you can design. It is not final development. You can design it using Figma or anything. So in Figma, if I show you the prototype, you have this section here. So you can create a prototype by using uh, Figma as well. So let me, okay. So prototype is that you don't create the final product, but you create a design. You click through prototype. People can get the experience of the same final product, but it is not functional. It don't have a back end. It don't have a front end even. It's just the design, images and the screens, but it is clickable. So you will get to know what it is about. So this is the prototype. And the mockup is something, let's say, uh, the term can be used to some screenshots that you take from your design. So mockups you can use to put on your portfolio. So and uh, it can be the final design, but not the whole process. So wireframe is very basic, whereas the prototype is very detailed, but it don't have functionality, so any backend. But the mockups are just the screenshots of your design. So I hope that is enough. Is that enough? Do you want me to
Yeah, all
describe
good.
further?
I have bit
Okay,
confusion with mockup only. I have a clear understanding with the wireframe and the prototype.
okay, 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 cool. Thank you. Any more questions? Okay, there's a question. So, do we need to know how to code and build an UI? It is actually up to you because most of the companies they expect, let's say, in a startup, it is a good advantage if you know how to code as well, at least the basic languages like, such as HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. So if you like to code, so at least try to learn these three languages. It will be an advantage for you when applying for job when comparing to a person who only have design background. So it is a competitive advantage if you know how to code as well. Because most of the companies, especially startups, nowadays expecting designers to code. So it will be beneficial for you. Clear? Okay. Okay. Ask any questions in the group chat. So I will answer while I do the next part of the presentation. Okay, we talked about UI and UX. Now, UX strategy. UX strategy is it is used to create an understanding between designers and the goals of the business or product or feature. More specifically, it is a document of guidelines and rules that outline how the design team aims to achieve the organization's product objective. So as I mentioned, when you get a product idea or a requirement from the client, the first thing you have to do is you have to create the UX strategy. Most of the time, if you have a UX engineer in your team, he's the one who is responsible to do this task. But if you are a freelancer, uh, an independent designer, you have to do all this by yourself. So when you create the UX strategy, first you have to consider about user interface and then how to gather data, how to do your competitor analysis, how to research about certain field that you require your business to be and the product or the feature. And then you have to come up with a timeline. So this is the project management methodology I follow. Most of the design teams follow agile methodology. So in agile, you have to break down. These are the steps that I should follow in order to create this a successful product. And then you have to come up with the wireframe and uh, low fidelity, high fidelity prototype, and finally final design system. And also up to the launching process, you have to mention in this particular document. So that is the UX strategy planning. If you have a good sound strategy for your product, it will actually help you to come up with a better solution, and you won't be able to like if you don't have a good plan, not only in the UX strategy, in even in other fields as well, you know that your final product will take some time. You have to go back and forth and change the strategy and so on. So it is always a good practice to have a good strategy in place before you even start off with your interviews or wireframes or anything. UX strategy is the process that should be started first before the design or development of a digital product designs. So as I mentioned, that is the first thing that you have to do even before starting off with the wireframes or anything. So this is an example of UX strategy. The first thing you have to do is you have to understand your users. So understanding your users, you need to understand who your users are and what market fit your product has. All right. So let's say for an example, you are designing a ride sharing application. So you have to interview few users. You have to get to know about your end goal, like end users, who are our end users, and what are the things that we are going to submit, what are the things that features that we are going to do for the first launch of our application. So those are the things that you should ask your client. And after that, you have a good understanding about what is the requirement that client gave you. And then you can make your questions, like interview questions based on that. So you can understand your users. So by like doing these interviews, you get to know these are the expectations our users have. These are the current problems that they are facing in their daily life. These are other applications that they are using, and these are the good things that these applications provide. And these are the bad things that we should eliminate in our application. So it is a good idea, good understand. You get a good understanding and good empathy about your users by doing these interviews, and also what market fit your product has. So you by understanding your end users, you get to know what is your market fit. Is it for the corporate users? Is it for parents? Is it for kids? So who are your main target users and the market fit? So you have to understand by carrying out user interviews and getting to know about your users. Next one, understand your value. You need to understand your product's value. So in order to come up with a good UX strategy, uh, let's say you have few competitors in ride sharing. You have Pick.me, Uber, and maybe some other applications which are not popular. So you have to understand where you stand in this competition, and you have to value like what is the value we can provide, what is the value we have as a company. So in order to create a better product, you need to understand these as well, and then know how to solve the problem. You need to understand how your product actually solves these key problems. So you have to understand your value, you need to understand your product value, and then know how to solve the problem. You need to understand these as well, and then know how to solve the problem. You need to understand how your product actually solves these key problems. So you need to understand how your product actually solves these key problems. So when you carrying out these user interviews and understanding your values, you get to know what are the problems that users are facing in daily life. Even if they are, let's say, fi- uh, go for the traditional way of booking a taxi. Let's say they're not using any applications. They're just calling taxi services phone number and book a taxi. So from there, you have to consider the people using modern day applications as well. People who are using Uber applications to book a ride, person who using Pick.me or any other applications to book a ride. So you have to uh, know the problems that they are facing, even for the person who is calling taxi service and for the person who is using the applications to do the task. So by considering these problems that they facing, maybe there are no particular amount of cars during rush hours. They charge much. Their services is not professional, and so on. And even the applications are sometimes buggy. So the connection issues and everything. So you can try to solve these problems by creating a better design, better streamlined user flow in your applications. And next one is have a clear vision. You need to know where you are going. Having a clear vision helps you to work what's the most valuable. So if you have a good vision, like if you understand the value and know your problems, know the problems that users are facing, you can have a clear vision. So if you have a clear vision, not only in UX, even in your career or even when you're studying, you know what you have to do. What are the most valuable things that you should do in order to achieve these goals. So that is another thing. And then finally, we have continuous feedback and iteration. Suleiman, you can leave and come back in 5 minutes. Continuous feedback and iteration. You need to have constant feedback through data and customer interaction to continuously iterate and improve. So as I mentioned, the UX design is not a linear process. It is the iterative process. You have to go back and forth and get users' feedback and again fine tune your design. So continuous feedback and iteration is must in order to create a successful product. And you have to make sure you continuously gather feedback from your users and improve your design in order to make it a successful one. All right. These are the main stages of UX strategy. Any questions? All right. User research. Yeah, Suleiman, you can leave. I think the administrative staff will upload the recording to Google Classroom as well. So you can refer to those missing minutes from that as well.
Sir,
User
how
research.
about the first 1.5 recordings? Did you record that?
Yeah, I think the like administration, the person who created the meeting already recording it. I
Oh,
recorded just in case.
all right.
User research is used to understand the user's needs, behaviors, experience, and motivations through various qualitative and quantitative methods to inform the process of solving the user's problem. So in user research, actually, when we get a user like client requirement for a particular product, what we start off with is user research. We have to empathize with our users and get to know our end users, what are their expectations, what are their previous experiences in similar scenarios, so on. So in order to do that, we do qualitative and quantitative methods. So if you already familiar with these terms, the qualitative method we can like do something like we can give users a questionnaire in a Likert scale. So we ask them questions such as, do you like what you experience uh, by using particular application already? And we can give them a scale, not satisfied, satisfied, very satisfied, and so on. And then we can get a like qualitative input. And then quantitative methods is something that you can measure how long, how many seconds it is taking for a particular action to perform in the in such application. Let's say in Pygmy, how many seconds it will take from the time you launch the application to it load for it to load completely. So how many seconds? So if it is taking so much time, you have to make sure that you note that and avoid that mistake in your application. So that those are the quantitative methods to inform the process of solving the user's problems. All right. And these are the things that UX research will do. Number one is figure out the problems users have with the interface. So if it is an already existing application, you can interview users and you can ask them qualitative questions, and you can even measure like quantitative things like how many minutes this particular user is taking to perform a certain task, how we can improve, how we can minimize the time that they are spending, how we can streamline the process. And we can understand by figuring out problems users have with the interface. Is it user friendly? Are all the buttons reachable by user's thumb? So you have to consider all this, easy accessibility and everything. And find out users' problems and needs. So we can ask questions, so we can see them perform actions in application and find out what are the problems they are facing and what are the needs that they uh, want to do within the application. Again, with a ride sharing app, let's say we have different people. Number one, the person who is trying to go to the office in time. Maybe his car is broke down or something like that, and he want to go to office in time. So the problem is he want to go to the office in time, and that is why they are using this particular application. And another user might be a mother who is trying to send his kid to the school in a ride sharing car or something like that. And the problems they are facing are different. So they are expecting uh, the rider to be friendly, or at least they consider about the protection and the care about their child. So that user story is something different. And we have to consider all these problems and the needs that different users have when they come to your application and try to use it. Create valuable and useful designs. So next thing, user research will help us to create valuable and useful designs. So you can see in the designs, like if you don't if you don't put much effort to your user research or UX strategy, your designs will tell the story. So users at the end, users won't like the design. It is not addressing the issues users are facing, and you have to go again and invest all your time and money and everything to come up with a better design. So it is always a good practice to come up with a better UX strategy and then create your design. So UX research help to create valuable and useful designs as well, because you get to know about your users, competitors. You have all the background knowledge to do those designs. Identify early adopters. So early adopters are really important if you are launching a new product. For an example, early adopters are the people who come and buy your product uh, when it is launched. For an example, let's say Apple iPhone launch. Most of the people in Europe or any other country, they tend to go to like Apple stores and stay there at the night and wait till the store open and first buy the product. So those are kind of like early adopters, or even the people who subscribe for software applications first, download mobile applications first. They are kind of like whistleblowers. They tell other people if the product is good, they will tell them that this product is really good, you should download it as well. So it is really important to identify these early adopters and give them the experience that they require. And in that way, you will gain more users because they will tell a good story about your product to other users as well. And next one is analyze the market to check if your product fits the niche. So if you have a good UX strategy, you can analyze the market. You can do a competitor analysis, and you can even do like you can take other criterias. What are the people problems people are facing these days? Are they having financial problems? Are they having uh, like issues regarding weather or something like that? If you analyze those things and analyze the market. So what is the behavior? What are the applications that are most famous? What are the applications that are declining by users? So by analyzing all this, uh, you have to fine tune your end users as well as the people that will most likely to use your product. And finally, learn about competitors' products. So if let's say if it is a ride-sharing app, you have direct competitors such as Pygmy or Uber. And indirect competitors can be all these cab or taxi service companies who don't have mobile application, just a phone number, and also car rental services and other maybe transport services, other ride sharing, ride pooling application, and so on. So you have to learn about all these direct and indirect competitors by creating UX strategy. So it will help you to learn about competitors and their products they are offering, services they are offering. So you can have a good idea about what is the marketplace look like and what are the what are their uh, end users or buyers, what are they expecting, how we can get more users to our platform by using their strategies, and so on. Validate your businesses, ideas, and hypotheses. So in order to do a good design, so let's say now you are launching a ride sharing app, you only get to interview few people, like up to 10 people, but you have to come up with a hypothesis. So let's say you get the 10 of these people and you like create some hypothesis. For an example, they will use our application uh, in office hours or rush hours. So those are the hypotheses that we come up with, or even in the morning. They will use our application to go to the airport. So those most when comparing to other application. So you can validate those hypotheses when you launch your application in the market if you have a good UX research. Measure the return on investment ROI for your UX design. So let's say you spend some time and some money to your design and UX strategy and everything. So after you have a good UX strategy, after you launch your application, after some time, you can measure your return on investment. So how much you invested in particular feature, how much you invested in particular human resource. So are we getting back that return back? Are we getting that return back in time? Is it like advantage for us? Is it beneficial for us? And so on. So that is another advantage of having a UX research. Ensure proper navigation and trouble-free user experience. So if you have a good user research, you get to know about your users and their problems they are facing, and you have good understanding about competitors and their problems and everything. So you can make sure that you avoid those mistakes and put all the good things that users suggest in your application. So it will help users to have a proper navigation and trouble-free user experience as well. Give me 1 second. Okay, next we have information architecture. Information architecture is like a blueprint, a visual representation of the product infrastructure, features, and hierarchy. The level of details is up to the designer. So, information architecture may also include navigation, application functions, and behaviors, content, and flows. There is no set of limits to the size of or shape of IA. So, information architecture is like a blueprint, a representation of the product infrastructure, features, and hierarchy. So, if you come up with a UX strategy. UX, we have like in a team, we have information architect or UX developer or UX engineer is the one who is responsible for creating information architecture. So what it does is it when like in the screen, we understand where to put particular data, how we should uh, display certain information in the data, in the screen, hierarchy of the design, infrastructure, what are the features that we should do in our initial launch, or what is the hierarchy, where should we go give more attention to. So all these things should be mentioned in this particular blueprint document, information architecture. So under the information architecture, we have this uh, user flow. So this is actually flow diagram. So we have onboarding process starting from here, and then we have registration process, register with SMS, Facebook, or Google. And then if it is a SMS, we are sending them the verification code, and finally creating a profile. And Facebook and Google are directly creating a profile if they have an account. So if location access is on, we are sending them directly to the home screen. If it is not, we are sending them back to onboarding screen where we can display that you have to switch on the location in order for the application to work. So in especially the ride sharing applications, Pick Me or Uber, they're not allowing you to go inside the application if you don't have your location service on. So that is a good practice. And then we have this gaming application here. So it has treasures, nearby players, and all these things that users can access. So the person, even the designer or the developer, have a good understanding about what is the user flow that they have to follow. They first have to design the onboarding screens. Then they can come up with the login screens and verification code and creating profile, and finally home screen. And then they can develop or design these screens, and this is exact user flow that they are expecting for their users to follow. So this is a good blueprint for the designers as well as developers and project managers and everyone involving in the product to follow and get to know what is the product and what is the user flow of the product. That is information architecture. All right. UX is everywhere. So, and also the bad UX is everywhere. I think you also experience in daily life that there are so many bad user experiences. Even there is a physical or a digital product. Yeah, you know that you can improve this product by doing something. So that is what we are going to discuss here. So in here, we have a cyclist path, and you know that they can't access it from here. It is just for the display. So you have to consider this is a physical user experience. So it is not useful. And even here, the mug looks cute, but it is not doing its job. Even here, we can see so many of these in Sri Lanka as well. So it is designed to do something, but it is not doing the job it is there for. And I think most of you familiar with this. Our TV remotes have so many buttons, and most of them are not useful. So you only need few buttons to watch TV nowadays. And in here, it has like uh, weird numbering. So it is not a good practice to follow something that users don't experience earlier. You have to always follow standard and make sure. And even here, this is not user friendly. And even here. All right. Any questions so far?
The whistleblowers like social media influencers, something like that.
No, actually, the early adopters, let's say, you know that people who stand outside Apple stores and buy those products first, right? We call them
Yeah.
early adopters. So they are the ones who tell other users, is this product good or bad or something like that. So they are the one who is giving, they can be social media influencers, but if they have good network, if they have good standard in the society, and so people tend to listen to them and believe what they say. So that is what we call whistleblowers in UX or product design.
Okay,
Clear?
thank you. Yeah.
Okay. These are some UX job roles. Number one is UX designer. So if you're starting off with your career, you can be an associate UX designer or a UX intern, and then you can become a UX designer and UI designer. UX designer is more into research as well as strategy of your design, whereas UI designer is more into design aspects, visual design, user like color theory, and so on. So if you have good aesthetic appeal, or if you like to design using Figma, or you like colors and everything, you can be a UI designer. Whereas if you are good with people, like interpersonal skills, and you can interview, you can present ideas, you have good communication skills, uh, you can become a UX designer. But most of the time, most of the UX designers do UI as well as UI designers do UX as well. So you can decide what is the area that you should give your most attention based on your strengths and weaknesses. And we have UI and UX designer, and then with the experience you can become UX manager, and UX researcher is the one who is responsible to carry out researches, such as they can interview few users, they can read research articles as well as research literature about particular product or a use case. And then we have UX writer, who is responsible to write content in your product, content writer or a UX writer. Then we have UX architect. UX architect have good understanding about the information architecture as well as designs and users as well as hierarchy of your design elements as well. So when we go to US or Europe, we have this term product designer. So basically, it is actually not only for the digital product. So product design is responsible for designing physical products as well. Especially if you take Germany, there are so many product designers, especially because of they have so many automobile productions. So product manager is also the same. So with the experience, you can become a product manager. Product owner is something different. So even though it has a product first, it is not only for a physical product, but it is for a digital product as well. Product owner is someone like in a team, you can have one product owner, product manager, designers, developers, and everyone. Product owner's responsibility is he act as a owner of this product. So he know about his users. He know about what his user requirements and what is the information architecture should be and everything. So with the experience, you can become a product owner as well. And also UI and UX engineer is someone who know about UX as well as UI and also information architecture as well as technology behind that. Like for an example, front-end technologies such as HTML, CSS, JS, as well as uh, React, Vue.js or AngularJS or any frameworks and so on, and also product management like project management, agile methodologies, sprint, and so on. So if you have that experience, you can become a UI and UX engineer, as well as UI engineer is kind of similar, but is more into user interface design aspects. So if you go to websites like PayScale, So they will give you the basic salary. This is actually in US, very different when comparing to Sri Lanka. So these are the salary ranges that you're getting if you are a UX designer. So entry level will get this much, 68K, whereas if you have experience, you will get up to 100K in US actually. Benefits and what are popular skills for UX designers? User experience designer, user interface designer, user research, interaction design, web design. You can see there are so many like in popularity wise, UX designer is very popular, whereas web designer is very less popular. And the salary is also different. Interaction designer is getting somewhat much salary when compared to others. Skills that affect UX designers' salaries. If you have a good content management skills, strategic planning, product development, leadership, project management, strategy, as I said, front end, HTML5 and coding, it will help you to get a better salary. So this is the starting point. UX designer, you can become senior UX designer, senior product designer, and lead UX designer, as well as lead UX designer, UX manager, and so there are some Q&As as well. You can easily follow, and there are some vacancies as well. So if we go for an job post, let's say okay, if we open one of these job vacancies, say this one. So they will give you the details about the this one requires front-end skills as well. Let's look for some. Let's go for this. All right. Position overview. They will design engage user experience for a variety of applications. She studies and evaluate how users feel about the interface, supports the translation of user needs and business requirements into features and functionalities that enhance application experiences, involved in the development of the process flow, wireframes, and prototypes to effectively conceptualize and communicate high-level design strategies, works under limited supervision to effectively deal with unfamiliar issues, analytical in the evaluation and user feedback, and offers new and fresh perspective and suggestions to optimize the user experience, articulate and comfortable with brainstorming and putting ideas, team members, and stakeholders to co-create an ideal user experience. So as you can see, these are the requirement position overview that they suggest. So people, when companies are hiring, they're looking for people who are independent. So you don't have to tell them what to do. So they have good creative capabilities. They think for themselves and do the design with the very limited instructions. So that is a good practice. So don't try to like ask so many questions. If you have questions, you can ask, but don't try to like limit yourself, limit your creativity based on the guidelines given. So these are some roles and responsibilities these people are looking. Critical work functions and key tasks, develop understanding of business needs, support consultation and stakeholders to understand their goals and requirements, support secondary research on market industry trends, competitors and comparable experiences. So this comes under UX research. Research, this is user research needs. This is like market research. These are user research. Support user research conducted through multiple tools. Multiple tools can be the questionnaire, then like VoIP, like interviews, Google interviews or Zoom interviews, things like that. conduct in-person user tests to observe user behavior. So they are looking for person who can do in-person user tests. For an example, the users will can connect contact remotely, and you can ask few questions and observe their behavior, or even they can visit to your own office premises and you can observe them performing these particular actions and uh, take down some notes. Support and identification of verbal and nonverbal challenges facing, support the development of personas and usage scenarios. So based on these users and interviews, you have to create user personas and usage scenarios. So we are going to talk about personas as well as scenario mapping later in this course. Design user experience architecture support the design of user journey, and so they are describing all these things that they are looking for. So when you are applying for a job, so you have to read all these and try to find out, am I a good match uh, to this particular job? Is this something that I like to do? Because if you apply for a job and if you don't like what you are doing in daily basis, it is not good for your future as well. So you have to make sure that you find a good job that you like to do, and it will give you a good satisfaction as well as good career and good future as well. So this is a sample job post. Like invite you to go to different website. Even in Sri Lanka, we have top jobs. So even in Google, we have certain uh, vacancies. Let's see. Yes. So you can search for these and look for opportunities. All right. All right. Essential UI and UX technical skills and how to improve. Number one is graphic design. So if you have a good graphic designing skills, creativity, it will help you to become a good UX designer. So if you don't have it, it won't be an issue, but it is a good thing if you have. So vector is something, if you are good with Illustrator or any vector-based applications, it is a illustrations or anything. It comes under vector. Raster is something like Photoshop or any other raster-based application. You can be a good graphic designer as well. And UI designing is something that we talked about already. If you are into web designing as well as interface designing, user interface designing, it is also a good starting point. Motion graphics is also really important. If you want to become an interaction designer who is doing the final interactions of your product, motion graphic designer, 2D animations, it is a really good, it will benefit you when comparing to the person who don't have those kind of skills. And video and audio editing is also beneficial because sometimes most of these prototypes we create, user stories and everything, we have to present them to our clients or stakeholders or decision makers in a video. So if you have a good video and audio editing skills, it will benefit you as well. So even if you want to work as a freelancer, it will help you. So, and then we have UX skills, especially the UX strategy and user interviews, as well as think like a UX designer, wireframing, prototyping. So all these come into play when we talk about UX skills. And development skills, as I mentioned, at least you should have HTML5, CSS, and JavaScript. If you have experience in other JavaScript frameworks, at least React or Angular or Vue.js and even MS skills will be important based on the workplace that you're applying for, because they might use different technology stacks such as like JavaScript, PHP, Java, Python, and so on. And soft skills is also important. If you have good communication skills, good interpersonal skills, good presentation skills, uh, because most of the time, let's say you come up with the design for a application. So you have to rationalize your design. Your team members or stakeholders or users will ask you question. questions. Why did you choose this color and not that color? Why is this typeface and not that? Why is this button here and not placed here? So you have to rationalize and you have to give a clear details, clear reasons that you have decided to put like this button here and so on. You have to communicate really well because it is really important. So soft skills is also really important. So those are essential technical skills and how to improve. Workplace skills, you have to become a good collaborative person. So most of the time, I think most of you are familiar with working with a team, especially people who work in the software industry. You won't be able to work alone. So you have to always have to collaborate. So we are uh, doing team meetups and stand-ups every day. So every once a week, and we have a project management plan. We follow Kanban boards and project management, and we track our progress. We have different KPIs to perform and like measure our performance and everything. So the collaboration is really important. It can be within the team and also with like outside the team as well. So as a UX designer, you not only have to work with the team, you have to work with outsiders as well, especially users. So in order to become a good UX designer, you have to collaborate with more and more people. And communication and presentation is also important. As I mentioned, when the users or stakeholders ask you to rationalize your design thinking and design thinking process and everything, you have to communicate and you have to present your ideas to these users, even to your team, in order to make a good product. And prioritization and time management is also important because most of these companies, let's say you are working on one project and you are working on in a startup company. So you have some simultaneous projects. For an example, you have 4 to 5 projects. So you have to make sure that you prioritize the task that in a way like it, let's say you need to deliver certain product within a given timeline and deadline is near. So you have to prioritize that product, even though if you like to do some other project. So that is also really important. And time management. Don't waste so much of time trying to fine tune your product. Just get the feedback and finally fine tune. So time management is also important. So don't try to be, let's say, create a perfect product, but try to like deliver the product that users like. So if you try to make it perfect, the time consideration, you have to spend so much of time. So make sure to manage your time as well. Next, we have think like a UX designer. So I mentioned you the book already. This one. I think it is available in Sri Lanka as well. If not, I will put a PDF version in Google Classroom so you can easily download. So this Internet Archive has PDF version, so you can download it and read it. It's Psychology of Everyday Things. There are some other books that I recommend you to read. I will put the list on Google Classroom so you can easily follow them and get to know about what user psychology is, what are the things that you consider in order to become a good UX designer. UX is everywhere, and you have to, as I said earlier, you have when you come across something, let's say for an example, you are sitting in a car and you interact with the steering wheel and the other buttons and the anything the car has, and you have an idea about how we can improve this design. If this plays in a different uh, if this has a different placement, it will give you a better user experience. So it will help you to improve the design, as well as, let's say, you come across with the same kind of a problem in your career as well. So you have the solution already. So always try to make sure to like think like a UX designer whenever you are interacting with any physical or a digital product. Identify good and bad UX. So that is what you can do when you're interacting, and you can think of how to improve it, and finally you can come up with a solution to improve it, and you can present it. All right, so what is UX portfolio and how to build? So these are some platforms that you can create UX portfolios for free. First one is Dribble. So if you visit Dribble website, it has like showcases of different people. So let's say I'm going to search for something. This is not only for UI design, this is for graphic design as well. So this is a creative uh, platform. So if you go to this design, you can see that they have added all the design elements and the in their portfolio as well. So even when you are trying to find a job, the first thing your recruiters or the hiring manager is asking is for you to send your portfolio to them. So if you don't have a portfolio, you will get rejected actually. If you have a good portfolio, you will get a chance to move on to the next step of the uh, hiring process. So as a starters, if you don't have your own portfolio, if you don't have your own domain or a website, it is a good place to start. Dribble and Behance are good places to start. You can showcase your designs and write some description about your design. And whenever they are asking for your portfolio, you can easily send your link, your profile link. Let's say this person's profile. Okay, you can send this link, your link, to that particular person who is requesting your portfolio. So they can go through it and they can share it with your core teammates, and they can come up with a decision whether they like your designs or not. So always try to showcase your best designs. Don't try to showcase all the designs, and make sure you put your best designs only. And Dribble Behance is also similar, and but Flickr is something more into stock images, so you don't have to put unless if you are a photographer, so you can use that platform. And if you you want to make a custom portfolio, there are platforms like Webflow or WordPress, or even you can download templates from GitHub and create your own portfolio and host it in a domain that you like. So any questions regarding portfolio or anything? If I show you a custom portfolio, one of my portfolios. So this is my portfolio. I have created case studies and describe my design process there. So if I go to projects, let's say this for example, the first thing I mention is the product title and my role and the time frame, as well as some description. And then I wrote an introduction, and then gave them the problem that I'm trying to address, and this is the solution I came up. This is the process I follow in this particular project. First, I started off with research and extracted the insights, ideate and sketch, which consist of wireframing and so on, design and prototype, design and evaluation, build and build. So this is an iterative process. That is why I have added iterate there. And I have put all the research I did, the literature reviews I read, and Google Trends research. These are some competitor analysis, and these are some wireframes I ideated. And these are some sketches and wireframes, the presentable wireframes, low fidelity prototypes I sent for clients' feedback. And these are final designs and the development as well. So you can also create similar website and write a case study. But if you don't have much designs to put, try to put at least 2 or 3 designs. One design that you can put is our capstone project that we do at the end of the project. And also you can take like any example. Let's say you don't like your banking application interface. You know how to improve it. So you can create a sample design and put it in your portfolio. Don't use bank logos or anything without their written consent, uh, and just like create some logo by your own and put it as the logo and create the banking application. So that is what I did actually. When I started my career, I haven't had much project to put on my portfolio. So what I did was I found few places that I can do projects, like charities and non-profit organizations, maybe schools, and you can create your UI designs and maybe you can host them in their website and get their consent, telling that you are going to put this in your portfolio, so you can put them. And always make sure to get users like owners consent before you put in this. Otherwise, you will get copyright claims and copyright infringements and so on. So to avoid that, get the consent before you publish in them. So you can ask any questions. So next week, we are going to talk about UX design process. What is UX process and methods we are using? How to apply the UX design process practically? What is empathy and why is it so important in design thinking? Uh, Carrying out user interviews and competitive analysis, creating personas and creating user flows. So that is the first part of UX process. Anyone of you already have a prototype? If anyone of you, it can be a graphic designing portfolio or anything, let me know so I can review it and let you know. All right, Aisha, do you have any questions?
No, sir. All good for me.
Okay, how about Rishad, Fatima?
Understood, sir.
Okay, how about Fiumi?
All good from my side, sir. Thanks.
Okay, Vital, how about you?
No, sir.
Okay. All right. So if you have any questions during the week, like when you're following and referring material, you can ask on WhatsApp group chat as well. So what I'm going to do is I will upload today's slides as well as the recording to Google Classroom, and also some book recommendations as well as some extra resources that you can follow to do your designs. So next week we are going to talk about UX design process, and maybe we can do some Figma practicals as well. So create a Figma account. So it is free to create, and we will do some Figma designs uh, next week as well. So that is it for today. If you have any questions, you can ask now or later on as well. Okay, then we'll see you next week at 9 a.m. Have a nice day. Bye bye.
Thank you, sir.
Bye.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.